It's hard to believe that this channel is barely a year old, and here we are with 227 videos uploaded and a ton of data to work with. We've covered so many different topics, and NFTs are clearly a favorite. But of all the layer ones we've looked at, there's one in particular that just floats your boat. We first got stuck into Terra 6 months ago with our DeFIRE episode, looking into ways of earning a fixed return on stablecoins, and since then, the Layer 1 has blossomed into a blue chip proposition, comfortably positioned in the top 20 projects by market cap. But it hasn't all been plain sailing. In this episode, we'll look at what's happened since that first film and some of the exciting new developments coming up on the platform, including the huge Columbus 5 upgrade. This is the return to Terra. This is the Defiant. Making a clear bet on alternative layer ones can be tough these days, as there's just so much noise competing for your attention. And as we saw with Avalanche last week, however, it is possible to find points of differentiation to help order them in your mind. Now, while ETH has become literally a platform for everything, Terra is of particular interest to us here at the Defiant because it has been, well, till now at least, a DeFi-focused layer one, allowing you and me to save, invest, and spend in ways that are becoming increasingly innovative. The core protocols Mirror, Anchor, Chai, and Terra Swap, powered by UST, form the backbone of a ferocious financial engine that has seen nothing short of spectacular growth this year. TVL on Terra, $7.3 billion. And alongside that, an ecosystem that isn't as obviously stacked as some other layer ones, but it's precisely this focus that makes Terra so appealing. So it's easy to look at Terra now and say, oh, well, it was all so obvious. But back in spring, when the market suffered that heavy collapse, Terra suffered a catastrophic series of liquidations as UST lost its peg, dropping below 90 cents before eventually recovering. Back then, we investigated how we could play the borrow side of the Anchor money market to take advantage of the incentives on offer to bring the system back into balance. And we'll look at UST in more detail right after these messages from our sponsors. Don't let high gas costs keep you out of Ethereum. A Balancer, the gas-optimized vault architecture, makes trading cheaper than anywhere else. Liquidity providers can optimize their fee earnings using the dynamic fee system that automatically adjusts to market conditions. You can also use asset managers to lend out idle assets, dramatically increasing your capital efficiency. And because Balancer is an open platform for flexible automated markets, you can choose from stable pools or weighted pools, and in the future more designs will be created that they don't even know about yet. Check it out at balancer.fi. Ava, or is it Ava? I think it's Ava. Fun fact, that name is taken from the Finnish word for ghost, but there's nothing mysterious and weird about Ava. It is in fact a decentralized open source and non-custodial liquidity protocol on Ethereum. Depositors earn interest by providing liquidity to lending pools, while borrowers can obtain loans by tapping into these pools with variable and stable interest rate options. Deposit in Ava protocol and receive A tokens, which accrue interest every second right in your wallet. Seriously, you can watch your balance just going every second. Swap any of your deposited assets at any time to get the best yields on the market. And for the devs out there, Ava features access to DeFi building blocks like flashstones and credit delegation. Ava protocol liquidity pools are now available on Ethereum and the sidechain Polygon. Now, back to Terra. Before we do that though, can I just ask you to drop us a like, get subscribed, all of that good stuff, because we are on a mission, on a path to 100,000 subscribers, and we won't get there without your help. So please do that. You know what to do. Right, back to UST. To understand the Terra ecosystem, you really have to get to grips with the relationship between Luna, the native protocol token, and UST, the algo stablecoin that powers so much of the value exchange in the ecosystem. So, here is how it works. Luna is the native staking token used by the Terra protocol, and it plays an essential role in collateralizing the mechanisms that secure the price stability of Terra stablecoins and modulates the incentives of validators. Now, Luna serves as a foundational asset for the entire Terra network and ecosystem. It locks value into the system through staking, with rewards commensurate with the risk of long exposure to such a volatile asset. It's also used in governance, but its most powerful connection is to Terra's stablecoin, UST. Now, UST is an algorithmic, interchain, yield-bearing asset pegged to the value of $1 USD. It uses Luna as a reserve asset. And if you want to mint 1 Terra USD, $1 worth of Luna token is burned out of the system. And this means whenever UST supply increases, Luna's price goes up. When the price of one UST exceeds $1, you can sell Luna for the UST coin or dollars, and new UST coins come into the market to inflate the value and drive it back down to $1. However, when UST's value falls below $1, the token is sold for Luna or dollars for profit. And this, my friends, is known as seigniorage, which is a very difficult word to say and to write, but that is what it is. Now, it seems a lifetime ago, but May was a very, very dark month for the whole of crypto, as hard-fought gains evaporated seemingly overnight. If you weren't here for that, well, God bless you. If you were here for that, I salute you. You survived. Well done. The Luna token had been on a seemingly unstoppable upward trajectory, but as we know, all tokens serve at the pleasure of the king, and Bitcoin had decided to plunge headlong into the toilet, taking everything with it, flushing itself down. Good night. Luna lost 81.3% of its value from the all-time high of $22.36 in March. Take a look at CoinGecko today and see where Luna is now. Now, I remember the hate and the venom that was hurled at Do Kwon and the Terra team. UST was deemed a colossal failure. And there was much schadenfreude, but that was then. UST regained its peg. Anchor dropped as low as 17% on the earn side, while the borrow side was offering over 100% at one point. But now, well, Anchor is near enough back to the 20% benchmark rate, and after 2 months going sideways, Luna, well, it went on yet another tear, hurling itself past its all-time high yet again, while other projects are still kind of shaking off the effects of that bear market phase. In hindsight then, the system actually performed beautifully. It just felt like shit in the moment. But then, it always does. So what's behind this massive upward movement? Well, probably the biggest driver of the surge is almost certainly the imminent arrival of the Columbus 5 upgrade. Now, there are many components to the upgrade, and as Terra themselves have said, it's massive! Well, one could even say it's super massive! Check it, but here are the headlines. Firstly, all seigniorage will be burned up until now. There has to be an extra G in there. It's French, I think. It looks wrong. It's just a wrong word. All seigniorage will be burned, and up until now, a portion of all seigniorage has gone into an overfunded community pool and used for Oracle rewards. Now, after Columbus 5 launches, all seigniorage will be burned forever, which should add downward pressure on supply and theoretically create upwards price momentum. Does that sound familiar? Yes, it does. You getting those ultrasound money vibes much? Oh, you Ethereum guys, it's not all about you, you know. Now, this was a decision made based on a governance poll, and it should theoretically make the Luna to UST swap much more efficient, as it's basically removing one step from the swap process. You just burn everything. Bye-bye. Secondly, upgrade to Stargate. Now, Terra is built using Tendermint, which is the Cosmos standard, and the grand vision of the Cosmos architecture has always been limitless interoperability. You can just go wherever you want. Now, Cosmos released the Stargate upgrade in February, and with it the path to IBC, which is not some gastroenterine disease. No, it is inter-blockchain communication. And this will be implemented in Columbus 5 and opens up Cosmos 250 or so dApps to Terra, as well as any other chain that also connects using IBC, such as Solana, Polkadot, and I have a sneaking suspicion, probably Harmony as well in the near future. Don't quote me on that. Thirdly, the integration of Ozone and Wormhole. Finally, along with Columbus 5 comes Ozone, which is Terraform Labs' own coverage protocol. Now, we actually took a brief look at insurance on Anchor this week as, well, for me, it's the key primitive that allows big money to come in and feel confident enough to deposit like meaningful sums of money into Terra, like billions. I would expect this to lock up UST and be cheaper and much easier to deploy than the options we looked at this week, which are mainly Ethereum-based coverage systems. And when you see how Anchor plays with Mirror, plays with Luna, and each component works together within that system, it kind of just makes sense for Terrans to use Ozone as their coverage protocol, and it's coming. Solana's wormhole bridge should also be integrated shortly, which opens up Solana and potentially the BSC ecosystem as well. And unless you've been living under a rock recently, you won't have failed to notice how busy Solana has been of late and just how much money they've raised too. So I wanted to end by taking a quick look at some major protocols coming soon to Terra. And if you look closely, you will spy the hand of none other than Delphi Digital in some of them. Now that's no guarantee of success, of course, but if you take a look at how Delphi have deployed time and resources over the last 3 years, there are probably few teams that have done better at understanding where the alpha lies in this market. So first up is Mars Protocol, which is aiming to build what they call a bank of the future, supporting free custody, open source, transparency, algorithm and community governance. And like all banks, Mars Protocol's goal is, well, it's basically to absorb savings and borrowing. But unlike other banks, Mars Protocol is in fact a fully automated on-chain credit tool managed by a decentralized community through a transparent governance process with all decisions made by the Martian Council Committee. Imagine that. Next up is Orion Money, the winner of Delphi Digital's recent hackathon. They built a cross-chain stablecoin revenue aggregator to achieve aggregate revenue by converting stablecoins on different chains into packaged assets. Doesn't that sound sexy? Orion Money's vision is to be a cross-chain stablecoins bank, the best place in DeFi for stablecoin saving, lending, and spending. Orion Money has just launched its first product, the Orion Saver Alpha, which allows users outside the Terra ecosystem to access Anchor Protocol's stable income savings service. And if you saw our video on DeFIRE, which is basically just passive saving for the most explosive growth in order to fund a lifestyle where you can retire early, these methods of using stablecoins across different chains and packaging them up into the best savings product, that's pretty sexy. Now, Pylon Protocol I covered in a separate video earlier this week, so no need to cover that again, but in brief, it's a launchpad and yield redirection protocol with a vast range of potential use cases, and it's basically built around the idea of principal-protected, lossless investment. And finally, Levana Protocol, which is a decentralized exchange, will provide leveraged trading services for assets on Terra. You know your degenerates love their leverage. And in the initial stage, Levana Protocol will provide users with unsecured loan services through integration with Mars Protocol, but will also launch perpetual contracts later on. And finally, a little bonus hat tip to Nebula, which is building a protocol for indexed protocols on Terra. Still early days there, but if you're curious about indexes and why they are an enticing proposition for more conservative investors, do check out our video all about them there. Okay, that was a much needed catch up on the Terra ecosystem. So much more to look forward to, but as always, none of this was financial advice. Crypto assets are volatile, you get me? We just love the financial engineering on display here. Have a great weekend. This was the Defiant. Peace!